Welcome back, my friends, to the Mail Right Real Estate Agent Podcast Show. You're on episode 134 with us, and our special guest today is Mr. Robert Newman, who is the founder of inboundREM. That's Inbound Real Estate Marketing, which is a full-service real estate lead generation company that focuses on SEO. And since I have no clue what I just said, I'm going to introduce Robert. Thank him for being on the show. And Robert, give us a little bit of a 60-second commercial on who you are and what you do.
Sure. So SEO is known by a lot of different. So my name is Robert Newman. I am a founder of an online marketing company in Southern California in Van Nuys, and I used to work for some of the really large real estate tech companies here in California, like Agent Image and Inforza. And those companies specialized in real estate, and I developed a specialty for a type of inbound marketing that is commonly known as search engine optimization. And in its simplest form, search engine optimization is you provide an answer to a question that somebody hasn't figured out how to ask yet. So you put up a lot of content on a website, and you try to make sure that you have addressed a question that somebody might have. If you do that very, very well and send the right signals to Google, Google will reward you with ranking, and that is the heart of SEO.
Nice. All right, Robert. Well, we're going to dive into some questions here in a minute, but I want to give my co-host, Mr. Jonathan Denwood, an opportunity to say hi to everyone. Jonathan, take it away, sir.
Oh, hi there, folks. I'm the founder of Mail Right. We're a online platform that helps real estate agents get more quality leads with emphasis on Facebook. Back to you, Thomas.
Thank you. And I'm Thomas J. Nelson. I'm a residential realtor here in San Diego, California with Big Block Realty. And I'm helping folks like the military, senior citizens, and folks going through a difficult time with a divorce make good decisions during challenging times. If you have a need for a realtor or just a consultation with one, I'm happy to chat with you. You can reach me through my website at thomasjnelsonrealtor.com. All right, let's get back to Robert. Now, Robert, I've been anxious to talk to you because first thing I'm going to say right out of the gate, I've been all over your site. And what I love about your videos or your vlog is you talk pretty plainly about the competition and the other companies out there, talking about the pros and cons of working with them. Have you had any blowback from anyone because of how frank you are about their performance?
Yeah, I have actually. So Agent Image is owned by three guys, John Crab, Tiger, and Luigi. And I know them all. And so Agent Image is one of the 10 companies that I did a really in-depth review on. And I got a call from John. And John asked me to go to a dinner with him, and John is a very, very nice guy, and his approach to basically telling me he thought that I could have done a different kind of job was to explain to me all the things that his company was doing differently these days, because I worked for them for a while, and I covered that in my review. And so we had a real nice dinner, and it was about an hour and a half long, and yeah, he had some things to say to me about the about the review I had done.
But you know what I appreciated about it is you were just flat out naming a lot of the companies that I'm familiar with being marketed by and advertised to, and it kind of gave me a reality check on that they all have specialties, but they don't all necessarily offer the full package. And I think that's important to know, because one of the things that frustrates realtors is we don't understand technology as much as the people providing it. And we have these expectations that are always not being met, because these companies can do one thing really well, but not everything that we're hoping for. And you have that top 10 list that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Is there a company out there that is the full package?
I mean, so that language, full package, is a little bit vague. Okay. But if I was to think deeply about it, I would say I don't feel like anyone, myself included, really truly offers a full rounded, like, let's say, marketing offer. But it does depend on what you mean by full package, because you've got lead generation, you've got branding, you've got email marketing, you've got social media. There's a lot of different ways that you can go in terms of what you mean by full package. But if you were saying like an all-in-one, which is something that realtors seem to be obsessed with, like
Right.
a CRM, a real estate website, and some type of transaction management system? The answer is unequivocally no. There is no such thing.
Okay, well, that's an honest answer, and I was kind of
Oh,
deliberately
can I
being
actually?
vague because that's how realtors think. Where you're like, why can't it do it all? So I
Yeah,
appreciate your answer, Jonathan. What's up?
yeah. It's just that also it's a bit like realtors marketing to a specific audience in their own market, and that's, I think we all now agree that's a good idea, don't we, Thomas? Well, when you say real estate agents, there's all different subgroups at different stages in their career that might need different types of product and services, if you understand what I mean, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's people new with low budgets, people long in the tooth with big budgets. There's people that are focused on luxury, and Robert covers that a little bit in some of his videos. So yeah, that's a great point. That I think part of the disconnect, and maybe Robert, you can comment on this, is that agents are being vague with the company, and the company is not properly explaining the expectations, maybe for fear of losing them. Well, no, we don't do all that. Here's what we do quite well. And is it that maybe it's going to take more than one company to satisfy one realtor's complete set of needs?
Yeah. So in my experience, it's always going to take more than one company. Also, I mean, I've done this for 10 years, and I'm always on the phone. Like, I'll be on the phone with a realtor as soon as I get done with this interview today. So getting them to transmit the information to you is a little challenging, but I do feel like it's in the role of the provider to do so, to say, hey, these are the questions that I have for you to try to see if you are a good fit for whatever the offer is that we have. My frustration, and the reason that I put out my blog, as you pointed out, is because so many people obscure the truth, and a realtor doesn't have the innate knowledge because they're not technology experts. They don't
Right.
know all the questions they're supposed to ask
Right.
out of the box when they're talking to a provider. Like, they make assumptions sometimes, and it's really odd to me, but sometimes they just assume that you're going to provide leads. They don't ask, like, what is the conversion rate? How many am I going to get? How, like, if I spend $1,000, what's my actual lead generation expectation?
Right.
They don't even know to necessarily ask that question. They assume it, which they
Right.
shouldn't do.
Right. And I think that's what, I mean, that was my early frustration with technology. And I'm going to date myself. I'm going back to like 98, 99, when I was buying my first website and talking to the original lead generation companies of that day. And just it always falling short. And the thing that always frustrated me as a realtor is they always got all their money up front and all the risk was on me. You know, well, we'll sell you these leads and then you're on your own for what you do with them. But they never really qualified the leads to begin with, and it got frustrating. And so I personally started distrusting companies like that because they were getting my money up front and they were happy, but then I'm left with these leads, and I don't know, in some cases, if these were people that even wanted to hear from me, but based on the response I would get from some of them, So
Right.
let's start with that. What are some of the, you kind of touched on it, but what are maybe the best, top 5 questions a realtor should be asking a company like yourself when they're hiring them? What should they be sorting and qualifying?
It really does depend on, so I'll give you a couple of things. So first of all, a realtor should have at least a vague idea of what their digital marketing plan is when they call a guy like me.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is they should know when they initiate the call, do I want a branding site or do I want a lead generation site, and what the definition of those two things are. A branding site, roughly speaking, is something that if somebody finds it on their own is going to tell your story. That's a branding site.
Okay.
A lead generation site is something like Real Geeks provides, where there's really not that much to the site. It's plain, it's got a search bar, it's got areas, and yes, there's information about the realtor, but it's buried somewhere in the back of the site, and you really have to go out and find it. That typically is a very common lead generation type of website where really you're branding the search experience and you're hoping that somebody registers with the site. And the two messages, the two calls to action are actually quite different. It's hard to get them both correct on one site. Usually you kind of have to focus on one or the other. So that would be number one. What am I looking for a lead generation site or a branding site? Number two, how am I going to drive traffic to it? Like, do I want to do social media marketing, or do I want to do PPC? Do I want to do SEO, or do I want to do a combination of all those things? And if you don't know what those are, if you have no clue what those types of traffic generation are, you should hit the pause button and not spend a single penny until you can at least figure out the basic language of what it is that you're buying. Like how are you going to get traffic to my website? So that's question number two. Question number three would be, all right, now that the traffic is coming into the site, how are you generating conversion for me? Like, how are you going to take that and turn it into a name, email address, and phone number that I can call today?
Right.
What is conversion to you? Like, for instance, Zerple doesn't give you a phone number. And every single realtor that I know that uses them is just insanely frustrated because they didn't bother to ask, does my lead come with a phone number that I can call? So what is a conversion to you? So this is kind of like a three-part answer. So it's what is a conversion to you, the provider? And then how many should I expect for how many dollars that I spend? Number four, what is your recommended follow-up process system? So a lead generation provider probably doesn't provide follow-up, right? They don't give you, but what's going to happen after the lead is generated? That should be a question that gets asked, because sometimes providers will have an answer for you. And then last but not least, number five is there any automated follow-up included in this lead generation system? What I mean by that is does your IDX system, if you're a real estate website provider, does it have email drip campaigns? What's going to happen once my lead is actually generated? And I know 4 and 5 kind of sound similar, but they're really not. It's like, are you getting automated emails? Do you get automated texts? Because that's something that does happen with Real Geeks. Do you so like the details of what happens after the lead is generated?
No, I think those are great questions. And I it's kind of ironic because we get frustrated with our clients for not asking all the questions and making leaps. And then they're throwing their hands up and having panic attacks when something happens during a transaction. And of course, we make the mistake of assuming they know better. And then we turn around and do the same thing when we're hiring SEO and lead generation.
Well, that's also the point of this podcast, isn't it, Thomas? Because
exactly.
This is why we have people like you on, Robert, because I'm not only just trying to plug my own service product. I am trying with Thomas to educate people.
Sure.
To ask the right questions and have the right expectations.
So, Robert, on that answer that you gave, what I'm hearing is that I almost need 2 separate sites, or can one site do both, or should I have a lead generation site separate from a branding site?
One site could do both. One site can do both, but the job of branding yourself online, like I would almost say that even like if you contact a service provider and they're going to do high quality content, I would even say that your branding efforts, like this, to me, this whole podcast, you guys are branding yourself. This is a type of content that you two are producing, and it brands who you are as people if somebody watches it. This is the type of thing that every real estate agent should do and have a channel to, not this specifically, but something of that nature.
Right.
And they should have a channel separate of their marketing company where they're basically establishing their voice to their audience. And I strongly believe that as independent business people and with the technology that's available to us, we should all be doing that at least a little bit. Take an hour of your time, explain to somebody online who you are and what your philosophies of doing business. See if they can connect with you. And I believe that everybody should be doing that.
Well, it was effective on your site because, you're living proof of it. With Jonathan sometimes invites the guests versus me inviting the guests, so I have to go learn about the guests. that Jonathan invites. And I went onto your site and you did that very thing. I mean, your videos brought me right into who you are, what you're about, what your philosophies are. I got a very deep cut of who you are, and it warmed me up to talking to you before I even got to meet you. And I think that's the effect that you're suggesting that all agents do, is put something out there that invites people into who you are, and it gives them an opportunity to connect with you.
Yeah, that's basically the philosophy of inbound marketing. It's giving somebody enough information to. So first they have a question that they need, like you find a dilemma that nobody is addressing, and then you address the dilemma, and you do so in your personal voice. And that's the whole premise of inbound marketing. That is the premise of my site. I address things that I feel like questions that realtors have about technology, about real estate, websites in general. And I address those questions, but I do so in my real voice. Who am I as a person? That's how I answer the question.
Right.
And that's usually kind of like a brutally honest. I was always this way. Even when I worked for these guys, I wouldn't really back down. I would tell them, hey, I don't think that we're doing this right. I think that the real estate agent should own the website. Real estate tech guys hate hearing that. They hate hearing that. Like I'm like, these guys should own the service that we're providing them. They're just like, that's just not economical. And I'm like, yeah, but it makes sense to the customer.
Well, let's talk about that, because that was gonna be one of my questions. Since you brought it up, let's dive in, because sure. Jonathan and I have this conversation all the time, and we're in agreement on it. We always talk about leasing versus owning, and that's essentially what you're doing. If you don't own your site, you're leasing it from someone else, and as you've mentioned in some of your videos, you don't have full control. In fact, in some cases, you have somebody telling you what you can and can't post, right? Because they're in control of the content that you're posting. So how does someone, though, own a site when they're new in the business and they don't have a big budget? What's a way for a new agent to get started with ownership of a site and a blog?
So with you could do a WordPress.org site. You could do a WordPress.com site. It really just depends on how limited your budget truly is, because there's out-of-the-box solutions that come with like Blogspot or WordPress, and these are free. They cost nothing. Okay. And I would suggest that a realtor start there and at ActiveRain, which ActiveRain you don't own, but it does teach you how to blog. Right. WordPress.com or WordPress.org blog, like a WordPress.org blog, you also don't own. So if you're going to get to something that you own, you have to have at least enough knowledge to set up a blog. Now there's tons and tons and tons of how-to videos out there that would make it a 6 or 7 hour process, including one that I did on ActiveRain. So you have all these case studies on how to set up a real estate website. Honestly, though, if you have more time than money, that's exactly what I would do. So if you have no money or very little money and you're trying to get into marketing yourself, in my opinion, you've got calling expired listings, and you've essentially got setting up a blog. You can go inbound or you can go outbound. Which way you're going to go? Gotcha. If you're like me and you want to stick with the internet, setting up your blog is really the best way to go, and you just do a WordPress blog.
Yeah, can I quickly say something about that,
sure.
Thomas? I think the key thing you got, because with MailRight, we've got a kind of hybrid, because we're using WordPress, but we also got technology that we've developed. So our position is, if the client, we host the sites for the client, but the actual look of the site, the actual branding, the look of it, they can take that out, and they own all the content which they've produced. Mm-hmm. And I think any reputable supplier, Thomas, what agents got to ask is, can I export my content easily? And can I get it into my own, let's say WordPress as an example? Can I take my content, export it easily, and get it into another platform with some chance that I won't want to shoot myself after the process? I won't want to kill myself afterwards. And I think that's the key thing you've got to ask, Thomas. Would
that be for like an exit strategy, or to have a duplicate site? I mean, why would you want to export it?
Well, because if you get fed up with the provider, you get fed up with the service that you're getting from that website provider. If you can't do those things and you spend a lot of time putting a load of content into that website, you're a bit buggered, aren't you, Robert?
You are, but I would humbly suggest that for you and most other, like whoever the real estate technology provider is, my opinion is that they need to be doing fully exportable WordPress installs. So you said you're hosting for your customers. I host for my customers too. But when I say that I give them the ownership of the site, they can take the whole damn thing and move it. They don't need to take the content. They can take the site and then they can move it someplace else.
They can do the same with us as well. They can take the actual site and
which is the easier way to do it. And if you're using a platform, and it does depend on where you're hosting your client sites, but I host on WP Engine, and they literally allow for what's called transferable installs inside the same hosting environment. So if my client wanted to, they could bail on me and go to another pocket on the same hosting, in the same hosting provider. And really, in terms of how difficult it is for me, it's a click of a button. It's one button. So that moving of the entire site and everything that belongs to it, like if they get fed up with me, is something that could be done quite easily. And that's what I think that I get frustrated with even real estate tech providers, is that they don't make it easy for their clients to bail, and they should. We should hold ourselves accountable. We should say that if somebody's not having a great experience with us, that they can leave without, for instance, another thing would be if you make them change hosting environments, they have to do 301 redirects. So they have to, there's things that they have to do or that they might have to do, depending on exactly how they're moving, where they have to maintain the ranking. So if you're like me and you're telling people blog, and then they blog, and they get rank on Google, now moving the site involves an added level of complication in order to keep that rank that you've got. Yeah. So you can't then say, and now it's also going to be extra difficult for you to move because you're going to lose all that stuff that you just got. You gotta make it easy, in my opinion. I mean, that's I feel about it.
I see what you're saying too, is that because if you really believe in your service and your product, there's no reason to hold people hostage. And that's the number one thing I ask people when they call me. I talk to a lot of solicitors. I got a sick pleasure out of talking to other people that sell, because I always love to hear their pitch. But one of the first things I ask them is it month to month or a contract? And they always want like a 6 or 12 month contract. And I thought, well, what if I don't like it after 3 months? Well, you're in a contract. Well, then I'm a hostage. If you believe in your product, I can come in and out, and I'm not going to want to leave. So why would you be worried?
Right.
So that to me tells me a lot about the provider. In my mind, whether it's true or not, that's the leap I'm making. If it's a 12-month contract, you don't believe in your product.
Man, here's the thing, and where the whole blog and everything else, the guys, the Thomas and John, where the frustration was with me. I talk to guys like you, guys who've been in real estate for 10 or 15 years, and every single day, you know what I have to overcome first? Like the actual, complete and total 100% certainty that my prospect has that I am a crook, that I am absolutely going to make off with their money and provide no value, because that's what 95% of the people that they talk to do. And that's why I started a blog. It's really to just address the questions of what does legitimate service look like? Right. What do the top providers of these services really do? Because unfortunately, a lot of them have really shady and short-sighted service packages, and you've experienced that. So now you're frustrated. If you talk to me, I've got this massive hill to climb before I can even get to talking to you about whatever it is that you want to talk about.
I think we need to go for our break, Thomas.
Yep.
So we're going to go for our break, folks, and we're coming back. And we've had a passionate discussion with Robert already. So it's going to continue in the second half. You don't want to miss it. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back, folks. We've had a passionate discussion with Robert Newman, really fascinating discussion. Say we're geeking out is understatement. Back to Thomas.
Well, Robert, to pick up where we left off, I agree with you. I'm. It's funny. We both climb the same hill every day because I have to deal with the people that were exposed to 85% of my industry that are crooks or just complete imbeciles about the way they conduct real estate. And so we unfortunately are thrown into the lowest common denominator when we actually do care about people and the service we provide and our reputations. We have such a hill to climb to get past people's fears. But I think you've touched on some great ways to address that by blogging and some video that just lets people in on who you are. And that's kind of where I want to go with the next question is because not a lot of people bring up blogging like I would expect them to when we have them on the show. And you seem to be pretty passionate about it. You obviously have a great blog yourself. I'm an avid blogger on Active Rain, so I'm in your camp. I mean, I have over 1,000 blogs out there or posts out there on my blog. Talk to me about the value of blogging in 2018 and more importantly, how to make your blog attract business. How does a blog bring in business?
Okay. Well, first of all, if we're talking about 2018 specifically, you really can't talk about any kind of online marketing in 2018 without saying video, video, video. Okay. So I'm going to give a couple of super fast tips to why YouTube specifically is the way to go. If you're blogging, you always want to include a video, and there's two things you want to do on that video. You want to transcribe it, which is a hidden way to get extra value out of YouTube.
Oh.
Because YouTube views, so they will use Google Translate to take whatever it is you said, and they'll put it on the video. However, what most people don't know is Google reads a handwritten transcript as pages of content. So your video secretly can have pages of content that are connected to it, which adds to how Google perceives it in search, how they perceive it on your website, everything. Or the other thing is geotag the video. It's a very small little thing that you can do inside the video, but Google uses it for their hyper-local search results. So if you're doing these two things, if you're transcribing your video and you're putting in a geotag, you're already way ahead of everybody else in terms of using video on your site. And then you use a video in connection with your blog post, which my experience has been not only does it get Google ranking, but in addition, people really connect much more deeply with visual. Most people are kinesthetic learners. They want to see you or hear you, or they want to see you doing whatever it is that you're talking about. So use video, use a screen share, record your screen, but use video.
Okay.
And when you're blogging, sorry, that connects into the blog thing.
So, and these are both features that the average user can find and incorporate if they're using YouTube, if they're pretty savvy with YouTube.
Yes, I think you're going to have to actually educate yourself slightly. I don't think it's the average user. I've given you two tips that I learned from one of the top gaming YouTubers that's out there, and I just kind of threw them in threw these secrets into our little podcast here. But and so it's not common. It's not common at all. But if you take the time and you follow up on it, it's gonna probably change your world, even if you've already been blogging or vlogging.
Well, and I would imagine if you want to learn how to do it, you could find it on YouTube.
Yeah, you could. No, you can find almost anything on YouTube. You can
Yeah.
find how to change your headlamp in your car on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube these days. And if it isn't, you should do it. If you ask a question and you don't find the answer, to me, I love that, because then I'm like, oh, there's something I could do a video on. As soon as I figure out how to do it, I'm going to turn around and then do a video on it.
There you go. Well, so just to be clear on what you're saying, though, is I would still write a blog, but then maybe in the blog embed a video that complements the blog?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then just one more question on that. So if let's just say my content is the top 5 things that produce curb appeal for your house, then what would I do in the video different than what I typed into my blog? What would the bonus material be, for example?
So if it's increasing curb appeal, like if that's really truly the topic, you're going to go to the house and you're going to point out. So that could be, paint the windowsills, put in a, flower planter, throw in cookie dough into the oven right before you show the home. You would show yourself doing these things.
Okay.
You would go through those steps, or if it's something you haven't done yet, you'd show where it would be done. You'd say, okay, here's the windowsill, and here's my idea for, curb appeal. I love stuff like that, by the way. The kind of video that you just described, if I was a homeowner, I would eat that up. Like a professional realtor telling me how to potentially stage my home. Oh my God, that would be brilliant.
Awesome. Well, all right. Well, that's good to know, because I think sometimes, we get probably too hung up on the process too. It doesn't have to be this big elaborate film. It's just you and an iPhone out in the field. It doesn't have to be this big production, right? I think actually people appreciate more of the authenticity of that than something that's overproduced.
1 to 3 minutes with a realtor on their iPhone is far more credible than one of those aerial shots with all the music, because you know what, we are advertised to so much. We're commercialized. I've made a very good impact myself just by doing this. I find something you're passionate about, get on your phone and just talk about it. Just make it important to yourself, like whatever that is. Like you were saying earlier, hey, I've got these other people that haven't done this stuff right. What is it that your competitive realtors aren't doing right? Then get on your phone and say, I've seen other guys not do this right, not list the property right, not do the square footage right, not be at the property when the appraiser is there, so that I can make sure that the property is getting appraised the correct way. Whatever it is, these are things you should be on your iPhone. Just talk about, because I feel like the passion will come through is my opinion.
All right. I like that. So now I'm going to ask you a very candid question, and this is specific to me.
Sure.
I blog all the time on Active Rain, and one of my frustrations is with the amount of blogs I've had, and some of them have gotten me business, but in the 10 years I've been on Active Rain, I've maybe done 3 deals because of my blogs that I can attribute to my blogs. Yet there are people on Active Rain that are bragging multiple deals per year. What are they doing differently? And I know this is a vague question because you don't truly know, but what could you conceive that they're doing differently to get their blogs seen better than I might be doing? Because I'm just posting on Active Rain and hoping and praying. Okay.
Well, the deals that you've gotten on Active Rain, have they been mostly referrals from other realtors?
Two of them were, actually all 3 were from other realtors, but one was a result of a realtor reading my blog versus the other 2 that knew me from being on the site and had nothing to do with a specific blog.
Okay. My experience is exactly what you just mentioned with Active Rain. The realtors that I talk to mostly use it as an enlarged networking environment. You are mostly speaking to other realtors. I'm actually talking in the very early stages, talking to Active Rain, where they're asking questions about how they can get back to a place where their blogs are getting recognized better by Google.
Yes.
So you are really not getting a lot of external traffic. You're mostly getting internal traffic from Active Rain, which means that how would you get more business from Active Rain? The meetups that they do, you'd have to start networking using that platform as the basis for your network. But if you do that and other realtors start to share your blog, and as you see with the Nelsons and Ballin and other people that are on Active Rain, these are like, what they're doing is they're becoming hyper proficient at networking with other realtors. They're sharing their blogs, and that's what you'd want to do. You'd want to get more into the social aspect of Active Rain and quit thinking that people are going to stumble across your blogs. They're really not. They're really not. You're going to have to get active on it, and you're going to have to sit here and share other people's content and strike up a conversation with them. And that way, in particular, I'd be looking at other like Eastern Seaboard real estate agents that might have snowbirds that are coming over here. I target my efforts. I look at those guys that are doing coastal cities, because you work in a coastal city.
Right.
So focus on the influencers that also work in coastal cities that are on Active Rain, because they might refer their migrating clients to you.
Okay, well, gosh, you really cleared up a lot, because again, it's about expectation. It's like, why isn't Google seeing all my great blogs? But you just laid it out. It's kind of trapped inside Active Rain, so I have to refocus what I'm using Active Rain for. But then,
and also, Thomas, do take in mind that Active Rain is great, but it's like putting content on anybody's platform. You should really concentrate on a platform that you own and utilize other people's platforms as a way of marketing your original content.
Right. Well, and that's actually where I was going with my question, Jonathan. So thank you for bringing that up, because what I wanted to ask you, Robert, is if you are an avid blogger and you want more SEO for your blog, would you actually do something like a WordPress blog first, and then, as Jonathan said, maybe duplicate it on Active Rain so it gets that exposure? But if you're setting up an outside blog out in cyberspace there, how are you? Are blogs attracting people on their own merits? Are you getting clients from having a blog, or is that just furthering your brand once they've already met you some other way?
I can't speak to what everybody's doing, but I'll do $500,000 on the service side of my company that was 100% generated off my blog, like 100%. Wow. Like my blog generates me anywhere from 10 to 30 inquiries per month, and right now that number is ramping up significantly, as one of the pieces of content that I have is starting to rank really well on Google. I believe what Jonathan said is 100% correct. The best method when you're using external blogging systems like Active Rain is to own your own blog, have primary content, but you can duplicate your content, but you don't want to do that all the time. You want to synopsis your content and then put it on another platform, kind of bait them into your primary content, but say what you were going to say in a different way. That's what I do on Active Rain. I kind of summarize my longer posts, and the people that are interested in the deeper data, they can go. And if they're just interested in a surface view, like I don't need to read your stuff for 10 minutes. Then they've got a extremely 30 to 60 second thing that they can read on Active Rain.
Okay, gotcha. So in other words, I would have like my 2,000 words on my WordPress site, and then maybe do a 500 word on Active Rain that if they want to continue reading it, it drives them back to my content on my WordPress site.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
All right. And then, but, and I'm just going to ask the question because it's going to be a clumsy question, but how is your blog generating that much, that many leads per month? Like what are you doing to get it out there and get it exposed?
Before Robert answers that, we need to wrap up the show for the podcast part, Thomas. And people can find the answer when they go and watch the bonus content, can't they, Thomas?
Jonathan does this to me every week. So we got the cliffhanger question that you're going to have to check out on YouTube or on the MailRight site, or continue watching us on Facebook Live, because the podcast is closing out, but we're going to continue on video. So with that said, Robert, before we close out the podcast portion, could you let people know how to get in touch with you if they want to get more information?
Well, you know what? If they want to get in touch with me, just go to inboundREM.com. That's the word inbound and then rabbitedwardmichael.com. Really, that's it.
Okay, wonderful. And we'll have all Robert's information on the show notes, folks. But again, it's Robert Newman with inboundREM, as in real estate marketing. And Robert, thanks for being on the show and hang out here with us for a minute. We're going to keep going. Jonathan, if people want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
That's really easy. Just go to the website or go to the MailRight Facebook page. They're the two best ways to get hold of us, Thomas.
All right. And if you'd like to reach me, Thomas J. Nelson with Big Block Realty, you can find me on my website at thomasjnelsonrealtor.com for all my social media and contact information. And I look forward to connecting with you folks here in San Diego, or if you have someone on their way to San Diego. I do enjoy your referrals. All right, we are going to jump over to the video now, so we'll learn the secrets to Robert Newman's blog, SEO, on the video. So come join us there, and we'll see you next week on the podcast. Bye-bye. All right, so I'll ask the question again. What is the secret sauce to Robert Newman's blog getting so much traffic?
Well, it's just, you actually asked the question about conversion, and I'm gonna address it from that angle, because traffic kind of leads into deeper SEO stuff, and we don't have time. Have time. But I will say this. In terms of conversion, the piece of content that I have on the site that is really actually driving most of my inquiries is my comparison of the top real estate web companies of 2017.
Yep.
And I spent 3 months on that content. And what I did is I did a very deep dive into each service. And I'm talking about examples, prices, personal anecdotes from meetings that I had with the various owners, personal experience, like really deep into it. And because the content itself, the way that I did the content, addressed so many points of concern for a real estate agent actually shopping for either a website or a real estate marketing package, I established a huge amount of credibility as a person that was giving honest answers, as a person that you might want to talk to when you're in the shopping process.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why so many people reach out to me, and they do so just off the calendar on my homepage. I only have one way to get in touch with me on my entire website. It's a calendar on the homepage, or actually I do have a contact form, but you have to kind of look around to get it. But that's it. I kept it simple, and I believe in keeping it simple, because if I established my credibility the right way, they're going to go through the effort of scheduling the meeting with me.
And it is a compelling video and blog. I mean, I got sucked into your site too, and I do this every week for the show. And there's some I skim just to get the good questions, but I did a deep dive on yours because I was like, holy crap, this guy really just says it like it is. There's nothing PC about it. It's straightforward information. It's how I wish everyone would talk to us, because and then I love, you have a very compelling message on the calendar. Tell people what that says. Spend an hour.
I think it says an hour with me will change your real estate business. Is that what you're talking about?
Spend an hour with me and I'll change your real estate business. I love that. It's very confident, and you have the content to back up the confidence. And, and that's not what you get these days. Not everyone's so PC. Everyone's so afraid to polarize. And I don't think that's interesting. I think it's interesting when people tell the truth, and some feelings might get hurt. Not everyone gets a participation trophy.
Right. Well, I think that it's funny because I have a saying that I really love, which is something like somebody says to you, "Oh, aren't you being cold when you're telling the truth?" And then the response is, "I don't think that the truth has a temperature." That's the thing about. I just express my opinion. What bothers people is that I spend lots and lots and lots of time, which means that my opinion carries the weight of lots of research.
Shall we have a little game then? I don't know if you're going to be up for it, Robert. So if I give you some names, I just want your instant response.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Placer.
No. I mean, so as a young, that's my instant response.
Oh, no, that's fine. No, right.
But now for those of us that have no clue what you're talking about, what is Placer?
I'll let Robert tell me.
It is a real estate website company that currently has 400,000 clients that's located in Boston. It was started by a couple of kids who are really brilliant, and they did come up with a good concept. They're going to build real estate websites for a whole bunch of people, and they try to make a decent product. Unfortunately, one of their business models is to just acquire massive amounts of customers. That was because they're selling these websites for like $5 a month.
Oh wow.
But it hasn't worked out. They expanded too fast. The service is poor. The product they ended up having to lock down because they didn't take into account how unknowledgeable most realtors are. So now they offer you such a stripped down basic website at the lower end, it doesn't do you, the customer, any good whatsoever. And you have to spend $299 to get a kind of okay product and not great customer service.
Right, got that. Boomtown.
Okay, Boomtown is best in class. Like that, you asking my instant opinion, I'm super impressed with Boomtown. Like Boomtown, their leadership is amazing. They do so many things right. The guys there are committed. Like if you review or research the guys that work there at the leadership level, it's completely different than every other company in real estate. You have a committed team that is just like at the office, but loves being at the office, and the list goes on and on. But they also build a great product with a remarkable IDX that really does a better job on lead capture than almost any other platform. But they're also built for teams, and they're priced out of anything that the average real estate agent or the lower, I don't want to say lower end teams, but teams without a big budget can afford. Boomtown is completely out of reach for a lot of people.
Well, that's fair. I actually got to meet that team at the California Association of Realtors Expo last year, and I was pretty impressed with them. But I would agree with you that it's for a larger budget team to get the full Monty out of them.
Right, on to the next one, Agent Evolution.
Agent Evolution, they're a theme maker actually, and I use the Agent Evolution theme for some of my websites. It's an IDX broker-owned company. Their coding and their technology is about 10 years, 6 years behind the marketplace, but they're still making like the best theme that you can buy as a real estate agent if you're trying to build your own website.
And what do you think of the IDX plugin from IDX Broker?
The iImpress plugin. I like it. I use it a lot. It's I mean, as a guy that uses it a lot, you've got these little things that you wish could be fixed on it, but really, honestly, in terms of what you get, it's beautiful because it allows you to keep your URL structure on your WordPress websites and not deal with their iframed pages. So in terms of what does it do at its most basic, it's great.
Yeah.
When you say it makes themes, though, what does that mean? What's a theme?
A theme is a design. A theme is WordPress calls website design themes. Like,
okay.
Supposed to be. I don't know why they do that. Everybody,
I'm speaking for the everyday realtor here, so I got to jump in once in a while.
Do it. I love it. Right, on to the next one, Curator.
Curator. So Curator, I know a little less about than everybody else because Curator is they're building a marketing funnel. I don't even consider them to be website providers. What they're doing is they're taking social media and they're building a marketing funnel around a web-based platform. And they really don't focus on any of the elements of the fact that they're building a real estate website, in my opinion. So Curator, I stay a little bit farther away from. Here's what little I know about them. I have heard from some of my top clients that they're a really sharp tech team, but that they also have challenges with the customer service element of their business. And that's basically about all I know. I've never reviewed them and I haven't researched the leadership, which is really rare for me. WolfNet?
Yeah.
I talk about, okay. WolfNet is, I don't focus on them anymore. They were relevant 5-10 years ago, and I am surprised that they're still in business these days. It's not, I'm not knocking them, but in terms of IDX and IDX advancement, as far as I know, they've remained far behind their competitors of like iHome Finder. The systems that I'm hearing about today are like Showcase IDX and Agent Fire, and I haven't heard anybody even bring up WolfNet to me in quite a while. They probably have a decent install base, but I'd be shocked if they were growing like very fast or at all.
And the last one, Agent Fire.
So Agent Fire, I've heard a lot of amazing things about. Like I haven't reviewed them yet, but they are top on my list right now. So Showcase and Agent Fire are the two systems that I really want to get into. Agent Fire is making a plugin for WordPress. The one that I've been hearing a lot of dialogue about is their plugin that allows you to collect data from doing, so they're aggregating data for home value and creating leads. So anytime somebody wants to know what their home is worth, they supposedly have a plugin that works on your website. Now, the funny thing is, as simple as this is, I've only rarely seen it work. Like a plugin that just simply takes home data and gives you a lead.
Well, the reason why is it's not that simple.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Zillow tries to do that too. That's why their estimates are so off.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's not that. We will see, but they don't provide IDX. They will integrate. You have to get a third-party IDX plugin provider, don't you?
Oh, who are we talking about?
Agent Fire. If you
Yes.
get one of the, you have to get the plugin solution independently, don't you? Really?
Yes.
I
know of.
I want to get one more question in before we have to wrap up because I know we're running short on time. And we've gotten your opinion on all these other companies, but I would like to talk about your company for a minute. What is inboundREM doing for realtors? What are they calling you for, and what solutions are you providing?
So as you guys can probably tell, mostly I'm just passionate about helping people. I don't really plug myself. My services sell themselves. They really do, because I'm doing something that nobody else is doing. So I'm building a real estate WordPress website that you would own. Okay, you don't lease it from me. You don't. I dial somebody into an agreement for 12 months because that's about how long it takes SEO to kick in. And then I do inbound marketing. I create pages on neighborhoods. So I drive traffic 3 ways, talking about neighborhoods, subdivisions, buildings, and primary keywords. And I have packages where I'm doing a much more involved information-based product, and the content, everything, it's all owned by my clients, not owned by me. There's no usage rights problems. There's no, you want to leave, you want to go somewhere else. The only problem with it is it takes 9 to 12 months, which is why I said, the people that I talk to and the people that do end up using the service side of my business, because I consider the blog and the service side of my business to be 2 separate things. And the service side of my business really, when I talk to the right guy, which is usually somebody like you, been doing it for 10 to 12 years, is just sick to death of the rat race, has already used a lot of the stuff in my top 10, I don't really have to sell them all that hard. It's more like, this is what I'm doing. They take a look at like what I am doing. They have a series of questions that usually has to do with how does this connect to CRMs and other things like that. And if all those puzzle pieces can be worked out, they're in.
So let me ask you this, and I don't want to pigeonhole you into a price, but give me a bracket of what should someone have as a budget to get started with a guy like you, a company like yours, that's realistic, so that you're not cutting things out that are necessary. What's a reasonable budget?
There is really nobody like me. So you can get credible SEO services from 2 companies, Real Estate Webmasters and me, that I know of. That's the honest answer.
Okay.
And
well, specifically to you then, what would be a good budget to have to come to you with so that we could get started on the right foot with this?
$600 to $1,500 a month would be somewhere in the middle. Brokers would need, like brokers with like teams from 10 to 150 would need more.
Right.
Like it would have to be a custom quote. But if you're just an agent or a small team, like 1 to 5 people, then $600 to $1,500 a month.
Yeah, but okay. I think the thing you've got to stress is, you already have stressed it, is that they can't expect instant results.
Right.
They will get results. I checked Robert over and I watched, and I truly respect Robert's opinions. I think you're a very honest and knowledgeable individual. But it takes a bit of time, doesn't it, Robert? To really kick in.
No, it really does. Like it's definitely 9 to 12 months. It's not going to be any faster. Even with an existing website, with existing ranking, if let's say all I'm doing is improving and not starting from scratch, it's still going to take time, because you got to figure out, most people haven't figured out the conversion part of what's happening on the site. And that math can take time, even if you have traffic. So you always should be thinking it's going to be a little while, even if you have somebody like a service provider like me that's really super dedicated to a result. It takes time. About the only time you're going to find a plug and play system that works instantly is somebody like Boomtown, who charges an arm and a leg, and they're using the same system over and over and over and over again, the same website, even down to the last detail in every single different marketplace. And those guys can kind of almost dial in what your expectation should be to a very finite degree. Somebody like me, we gotta tool around a bit.
But they're also using paid traffic, aren't they, to drive traffic to that website? They're either using Google AdWords, Thomas, or they're using Facebook to drive traffic. But because they're using the same website, the conversion part, they've got pretty tightly mapped. But they drive the traffic by, but what Robert does takes longer, but in cost and long-term benefit, it's much more powerful.
Yeah, no, and we've had other guests on the show that validate what you're saying, Robert, because I mean, the theme I've heard is, what you do online today to get noticed isn't going to have the effect you want for 6 to 12 months down the road. That's been said over and over. So I think that's just the problem with today's mentality is the instant gratification, having to marry itself to something that takes time, and it's an investment in time and effort. And people just have to realize that not everything's a microwave.
Well, it's a very difficult situation, isn't it, Thomas? Because, it's a fair chunk of change. It's totally worth it. But you've got to really educate yourself before you can have that commitment. But it's understanding what you get and finding a provider like Robert that actually understands what he's doing as well, and your needs matching, isn't it, Robert?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not a fit for even most people. It's actually a fit for a very small segment of the real estate business and the real estate agents. Thomas, you were saying, you guys have been trained, because back in the day, because I've been around in marketing and sales since I was 17, so it's 30 years. And you know what? Back in the day, when you talk to people about geographic farming, for instance, using direct mail, that was something that you told everybody was going to take 3 to 5 years to kick in.
Right.
So long term is not new. It's just that the internet came along, and then PPC and these other forms of marketing where you could get a result tomorrow or the next day. And all these real estate marketing companies jumped deep into that hole. And all you see now are these, you'll get results in 30 days, 60 days. And that's like over and over again. And honestly, in my experience, not even with PPC, is that true? It's not that it's not much, much faster, because it is, but is it instantaneous? No, it's not instantaneous. It takes 30 days or 60 days or something. It's still a timeline. It's just not 9 to 12 months.
See, my position, Thomas, is a hybrid position, is that I think you definitely need content, and you need an individual website that's got good marketing, but also good content for your target audience. And then when you got those right, you can utilize either Google or Facebook to drive even more traffic. But you got to get the fundamentals right, Thomas.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm glad that you guys brought it up, and it's a good point to end on. Robert, I want to give you a chance one more time to let people know how to get in touch with you if they want to get more information about working with you.
You guys are awesome. They can just go to my website, which is inboundREM.com. I strongly suggest, if anybody does want to reach out, cruise around my website first, actually. Read my blog posts, see what I'm all about, see if you can get any value out of a meeting with me, because that really is the primary purpose, is to consult with people and to help them, not to sell them a service.
It's a very engaging site, and even for some, I mean, I am not a techie, but I was geeking out at just some of your videos and reading your blogs, because I felt like you were including me in the conversation. Like, I didn't have to know what you know to understand what you were talking about, and that's what I appreciated about it. So I highly recommend your blog and your site. And Jonathan, speaking of sites, what site do you want people to go to find out more about you?
Just like I said, either go to the Mel Wright website or go to the Facebook page, and you find out more about what we're up to.
All right. And you can find me conveniently on thomasjnelsonrealtor.com, which I'm afraid Robert might look at and dissect. But for right now, that's the best I got. And it's a fun site. So come join me there, and you can connect with me on social media, or just do the old-fashioned thing and give me a call. We'll look forward to connecting with you folks next week on our next podcast. Thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure.
Bye.
All right.